to be a plus agent, to be, top notch, to make sales, to launch your business. And so I was in that first training group, and life-changing is the only words that can describe that. It was such a great program, and I don't believe that I would be where I'm at and doing what I'm doing if it hadn't been for
the monument training. Huh? Wow. Chaska Wilkinson, welcome to the Know Me Network podcast, where we get to know business owners, entrepreneurs, and just individuals on a more personal level. So Chaska, thanks for joining us. You and I kind of go back. My earliest remembrance of you is Miss Laminek's art class in, I think, high school. So I think that was like our junior year of some sort. Is that right?
That sounds about right. Miss Laminek was hands down my favorite teacher.
She was really awesome. Still have some art paintings that I painted in that class. And I just remember you being so creative compared to my stick figures. But yeah, Chaska, we do go back to Gilmer, Texas. And so I just wanted to give a chance for you to kind of introduce yourself, tell us who you are real quick, and then we'll dive into kind of where you began and so forth.
Well, like you said, from Gilmer, went to high school there, got the whole 9 yards of the small town, high school experience. But after high school, somebody's at my front door. I never a dull moment here.
Totally.
But yeah, I got to the city being Dallas, literally as fast as I could. Moved to Dallas at 19 and finished up college here and worked retail for a long time, and then figured out that entrepreneur life was way more interesting, and it seemed like it was a better fit for me. And so wasn't long after that I worked my way up to, I called it my quarter life crisis. I turned 25 and I was like, what am I doing? And that was when I quit my corporate kind of retail job working for the man and started my boutique business.
Yeah. So you were how old when that happened? 25 when you started your boutique business?
Yep. 25, started with just pop-up shops, but within a year opened up a store. And
what exactly were you selling for those of us who may not were around then?
Women's clothing and accessories. So anything fashion related, fun tops, clothing, jewelry, hats, dabbled with some shoes for a little bit, scarves. Oh my gosh, I probably sold 100,000 scarves in my lifetime. Like not even playing.
That's funny. But yeah, so I remember you being very creative, which kind of folds over into just kind of this business owner fashion, if you will. Was being a business owner something that you always thought about doing it through high school and into college, or when did that come up for you?
It came up when one of my first jobs was working at Dress and Gaudy in Longview. I don't know if you remember that place or knew anything about it. But it was this lady, Judy Perkins was the owner there, and watching how she managed business and how things sold and how we marked up stuff, how we tagged things, how she did all that, and working underneath her was such an inspiration. And then when I moved to Dallas, I got into corporate side of retail. So working for like a, quote unquote kind of big box. I worked for Baker's Shoes, and seeing how the corporate side of things did advertising and how we did shipments there and putting stuff out and displays and all that good stuff. I felt like I got to see both sides of the retail world, and the inspiration from Judy and the learning and training that I got from Baker's, because I ended up Baker's being a training manager. So I would travel around. I went to California and Oklahoma and Arkansas and all over training different stores or regions. And so it was kind of the perfect storm. I was like, I can do this on my own. Why not? They can do it. I can do it. So, and I'd rather be working for myself if I'm going to put in all these hours. So
Yeah,
that
I
was
guess
kind
you
of
can
how
say
that.
you kind of took away some of the process oriented stuff from the big box store as
I
opposed to the
did.
mom and pop store.
Very much so. I created, modeled my training from what I learned at Baker's and how, they did that stuff, and they're just upselling and all the different things, but then also had kind of the small business experience side from Dress and Gaudy, which, for those that don't know, it was a very, very successful boutique business, in that era.
Totally. So prior to doing all of this, you were born and raised in East Texas, is that right?
I was born in Longview, kind of
And did
raised.
you always go to Gilmer?
I did not. I started out at Pine Tree. So in my younger, before school, we lived in Gilmer, kind of in the East Mountain area. And then when it was time to start school, my mom wanted me to be there. My parents wanted us to be more of in a city setting. So we moved to Longview.
Big old city setting.
I'm big city. They bought a house right across the street from my grandparents, my mom's parents, which was cool. So I went to grade school through Pine Tree, and then my parents got a divorce when I was 12, and my dad moved back out to the country where we had, originally lived. My mom stayed in Longview, and I ended up moving in with my dad and transferred to Gilmer, and I liked the small town country feel. Honestly, there was a bit of it. I liked being the new girl, and it was
I'm sure
fun.
you did. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I can remember being the new kid too. My dad taught as a band director in Harmony, and it was a second grader. I came to school at Gilmer, so it was like, you kind of known some of these people, but kind of getting back, it was cool being the new kid in a way. But you came. What grade did you come to Gilmer in?
8th grade.
Okay, that's right.
Yep.
So yeah, interesting. So Mean Green after that, right? We go to North Texas. What'd you get your degree in?
Just business administration. School was not really my favorite thing in the world. So I just did a 2-year degree, and that was as far. I attempted, part of my quarter life crisis was I did attempt to go back to college to finish my bachelor's, and that did not work very well for me.
I hear you. I think the only reason why I finished college was because someone told me I had to.
Right. Well, that's why I have my associates, because I had to get that far. But it's funny, when I went back to college, I did actually take a couple real estate classes. And it's funny looking back now, I had no idea that the classes that I took as just electives were actual classes that you take to get your real estate license. And I didn't.
Jeez, if we would have only known then what we know now.
I know. Yeah, if I would have just finished that back then.
Totally. So you start these pop-up shops. What was the name of this business?
Just Add Jeans.
Okay, and this was a really hot store. So kind of walk me through its evolution. You start out with these pop-up shops, and you're being your own marketer. So as other business owners are out there listening to your story, tell us what it was like being your own marketing person, which is leading up to doing the same thing now.
Well, I mean, it was tough. And especially when I started back in 2009, social media was out there, but it was not out there like it is now. Social media now, you can connect to hundreds of thousands of people instantly.
When you were 25, Facebook was just now starting.
Facebook was still for just college students, and it wasn't open to the public. It had anyway, I started with a MySpace page because Facebook was still very restricted. Mm-hmm. Start with a MySpace page, you have your top friends that you put on there and whatever.
Oh yeah.
But that's how I uploaded, all product pictures and stuff like that, and started with online orders and promoted different shows that I was doing.
You had inventory and everything early on like that online, right?
Yep. I transformed my dining room into my, inventory warehouse.
And this started when you were here in Dallas, right?
Right.
And so where would you travel for these pop-up shops?
anywhere that they'd take my application and let me pay the booth fee and let me set up. I did big shows, little shows. I did a lot of shows in Canton, the trades days in Canton, which are a beating, especially if you're not a regular vendor out there, because there is definitely a pecking order out there. But I did lots of holiday shows, all around the Metroplex, Arlington. And but I even did tiny ones like way up in Saxe, came back to Longview, did multiple shows in Longview, actually ended up having the Longview Mall reach out to me to set up basically a giant booth in front of JCPenney in the mall for the whole month of December, which was what gave me a little taste of having a storefront and having an established place to be, because we had that booth for 30 days. And so anyways, that was an awesome opportunity and literally launched me into having a store. That Christmas was a great month. And
so you went from a pop-up store with the hookup from the Longview Mall right in front of JCPenney's to, did you have employees at this point, or was it still just you?
It was mainly just me. My stepsister had moved down and moved in with me from St. Louis. She was kind of in a bad situation in her world. And so I was helping her get out of that situation and get her life back on track. And I needed the assistance without having a full-time employee. And so she helped me out. I helped her out, and we all kind of did this together. And I lived with my brother also at the time. So me and my brother and my stepsister really got Just Add Jeans off of the ground.
Yeah, starting a business is easy, right?
Huh?
Starting a business is easy.
Especially when you have, cheap free labor.
Totally.
Just keep a roof over their head. It's
so
fine.
You mentioned getting Longview Mall basically invites you and gives you a spot in the Longview Mall after that. Is that right? And at that point, you're having to hire and your business goes to a different level. So talk about that transition.
The transition to hiring employees and managing that kind of stuff, it took a while. Honestly, that Longview Mall booth that we did, we just worked that, just me and her, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, every single day for the entire 30 days of December, 31, however many days we were there. It felt like a gajillion. It wasn't until I actually opened my store in Dallas that I started getting employees and really paying them. But that was an interesting transition, because once you start payroll and are committed to paying these people, I was always the lowest on the totem pole to get paid. If that month wasn't great or that week wasn't good or whatever happened, everybody got paid, and then Chaska might get something left over.
Yeah, so, welcome to being a business owner, right?
I know, like entrepreneurial business stuff is really difficult.
Yeah, it's not for everyone, right?
It is not. Definitely not for the faint at heart.
Yeah. So you open a store in Longview. You're 26, 27.
Yep.
And how much?
My first store was actually in Dallas.
Okay.
I opened a store in the Bishop Arts District in April of 2010. April Fool's Day was actually our first day open. But then it was less than a year after that. Well, I guess it was right a little over a year. July of 2011 was when I opened my Longview Mall store. Okay.
And kind of walk us through just what happened there. You had that business for a long time. You were a girl boss. You were, I love seeing all these things, and just kind of walk us through, hey, I've got this store in Dallas, a store in Longview, and life happens. I go through how long was the business open?
So the Dallas Bishop Arts store was open for a little over 6 years, so about 6.5 years. And the Longview store was open for about 3 years. I probably didn't quite do enough research on storefronts in Longview. I kind of jumped the gun on picking the location in the mall. I didn't realize that nobody really goes to the mall. So that was it was a really tough learning experience. I did lots of back and forth. I literally would spend about 3 days in Dallas and about 4 days in Longview, and then 2 days in Dallas and 5 days in Longview. And then, it was every single week. So I drive back and forth at least twice.
At what point did you realize that maybe like that Longview store wasn't the place for you? Did you sign into a contract with the mall?
I did. I had a 5-year contract. It had an out at about 3.5 years. And so I had to stick it out. And I was at the mall. So it was a big company that you can't just
They got you.
sweet talk your way out of there. So anyways, that was a very expensive life lesson, but
Yep. Talk about business owners. This is what we learn as business owners. As you look back at this, look back at that business, other than not going to the mall, what were some of the things that you thought maybe you could have done differently that I could have done, if you will? Hey, maybe not been that particular location, or, I know Longview was kind of close to us, so I'm sure there's a want to go back there with that business.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like the biggest thing that I probably could have done better with that particular location would have been, I tend to march to my kind of own drum when it comes to fashion and style. And I probably should have followed the trends more often, because that was, I believe, more of what the customers in Longview wanted.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted what everybody else was wearing or had. And I always wanted to buy what was different, and something that was kind of off, or, a trendier in my eyes style. And
did that trendier stuff work here in Dallas as opposed to Longview?
Absolutely did. The beauty of the Dallas store, I could literally buy anything that I wanted. It didn't matter if it had sequins, rhinestones, studs, fringe, wild, crazy, pleather, I mean, whatever it was, fun stuff.
That's
and
neat.
It would sell. It was an eclectic enough area, and we got so much tourist traffic from people literally from all over the world. And so I could buy anything, and it was super fun. But
and Bishop's Arts District is its own little world down there as itself. So what was it like having a business down there?
Oh, it was magical, actually. I mean, it was so cool because it's such a cool community. At the time, the landlord was very, very, I'm losing the right word, but he wanted all of those stores to be mom and pop stores. He wanted it to have a local, cool, funky vibe to it. There was no chains, no big boxes, nothing that was attached to corporate anything. And so the people there, most of the owners were the ones working in the stores. We all knew each other. We, had basically big block parties all the time. We did wine walks. I was on the Merchant Association board. So, I mean, I was the kind of event coordinator for it. And it was just magical. I mean,
that's neat. These people were a part of the community there.
Yes. And the people that came there were, the shoppers and stuff. It was always somebody different. And multiple times I would have people come in and they're like, we, came down here and we had to come to your store and we had to buy something. We came here a year ago for our girls trip or whatever it was. There was always these really cool stories, and it just every day made it feel amazing.
Yeah. And what else I think is cool too, is that if someone was shopping at your store, odds are you were probably there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they would always get to see you. What was it like being down there and being the party planner, if you will, for the businesses?
It was so much fun. No, it was a lot of work, but it was cool being able to, help coordinate, because in an area like that, if you want something done, your business owners, the people that have the, most at stake or most to benefit from it, we're the ones that put that stuff on. So the more effort and the more, you put into it, the more you're going to get out, and the customers are going to come. They're going to enjoy it. They love the energy and the excitement.
Yeah. And you're like you said, you're an eclectic girl. So when people see you, it's like, oh my goodness, it's Chaska. So that's neat. That's neat. So the business made it for another, how old were you when the business kind of came to a close? And then kind of walk me through that process. What happened there?
I guess I was probably about 33, 34.
So you had a good run at this business.
I had a really good run. So when Just Add Jeans, when my lease came up there, the landlord actually would not renew my lease, which was
And
pretty soul crushing.
that's in Bishop's Arch.
Bishop Arts. It was so frustrating because I mean, I was on the board, I did all these events, but honestly, I don't really know what happened, but I found a new location. It was about 4.5 blocks away from my current location, but apparently it was about 4 blocks too far. And it was just outside of the loop, and it was in a super cool space. And I changed the name to Gypsy House from Just Add Jeans because I wanted to focus on more furniture and home decor in addition to my jewelry and stuff, but I also started making more jewelry. And I had that store for about 2 years and it just never took off. It was always a struggle at that location. It was hard getting people over there. So even with social media the way it is. So that was kind of the
move kind of hurt the business, huh?
The move hurt the business. And it just, honestly, I think my time as a boutique boss was just coming to an end. It wasn't near as inspiring anymore. So
I hear you. And you're now in your 30s. And as you see the business kind of coming to an end, walk me through some of the feelings that you had in that, were you bummed but excited about the future? Just, I know for me, as I quit my career, it's kind of like, it's great here, but like, what's next? And now you have to go create. And so what was all of that like? So as other people are finding this transition, they may find some hope there.
It was hard because obviously for almost 10 years, that was my identity and that was who I was. I was Just Add Jeans. I was, the fashionista, the boss babe. And so I needed to figure out what the next step was. During all of this, I met my now husband. He worked in medical sales. So
and what's his name? Give him a shout out.
Danny, a handsome man. So we've been married now. August will be 3 years.
Congratulations.
Quite the adventure. But when we first started dating, I had just closed my store and I was took a little bit of time off, but then I didn't do very well with that because I don't stay still for very, very well for very long. I'm like, what else do I do? So I kind of got back into doing my pop-ups. I'm like, well, I need something to do. So that was kind of.
And are you selling jewelry at this point?
Yeah, it was more of just jewelry, some home good, small home good things, and pillow covers. I kind of found this new little niche with selling these linen printed pillow covers. But that I was tired of doing that because pop-ups are a lot of work. So I started working in the medical business with him, helping with his marketing and, creative side of that, coordinating lunches. But I needed more. And when COVID hit, it really motivated me because most of the doctor's offices shut down. So we weren't able to be, creating new business. And so I decided I was going to finish my real estate license. I had started it about 3 years prior.
So you started looking into real estate prior to the closing of Just Add Jeans.
Yep. I started, yeah. I think it was probably in like 2000. Oh man, 2019. It's probably about 2017.
Okay.
Was when I first started in on my real estate license. We've already touched once on the fact that school's not really my favorite subject. So it was a struggle. And I got through about half of the classes and then got distracted with, trying to keep this final store, Gypsy House, trying to keep it afloat. And so I kind of put real estate back on the back burner. And then COVID hit and I was like, all right, I'm going to finish this. We're going to do this. I mean, I have to find something that's my own and something that I can help create wealth with.
Sure. So the Rona comes, you say, hey, I'm going to become a student again. And are you employed with anyone at this point, or are you just taking the test on your own?
Yeah, I'm just taking the test on my own. I did have a good mentor at the time. You can't technically be employed by anyone until you actually have your license and a broker takes you on to their brokerage to hang your license with their brokerage. But I had a mentor at Keller Williams. His name was James Britt, and he definitely helped coach me and, test taking and getting prepared for it, and definitely was a huge asset in getting me passed. But
so
then
you passed that test how long ago? When was this? Right,
June
2020?
of 2020. Yep.
Okay.
So almost 2 years ago.
And then you're now interviewing for a place to work, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Which because James had mentored me, I immediately followed his footsteps and joined his team with Keller Williams.
A lot of real estate agents are there. And what was it just him that pulled you there, or was some other benefits of the organization?
It was, well, Keller Williams has a great training program. Problem was we were in the middle of COVID and nobody was having in-person classes. So everything was on Zoom, and we're already stuck at home. At this point, everybody's been at home since what, March, April, May, June. So I'm still stuck at the house in front of the computer. Obviously I had to do all of my classes in front of the computer, all the courses and stuff. So I was about zoomed out. I mean, so I did 2 months at Keller Williams. So I got July and August, and then mid-August, I decided I needed something different. I felt like I was just spinning my wheels. I wasn't getting anywhere with it. Keller Williams is all about, your sphere of influence and whatever. Well, my sphere of influence was everybody knew me as a, fashionista and a boutique person. And so it was hard even convincing myself at that point that I was a realtor, because I didn't feel like I was getting the training or the one-on-one hands-on stuff. So I was really struggling with, what am I doing? How do I make this successful? So I decided, with that entrepreneurial background and that boutique feel, I needed to find a smaller brokerage that's maybe going to be able to, focus some more time with me and really give me the training and the insight and the guidance that I was looking for. So I literally Googled best brokerage in Frisco, because obviously I live in Frisco now. So first one that popped up was Monument Realty. So I interviewed with 3 different brokerages here in Frisco. And the minute I walked into Monument and the minute I saw them, interviewed, talked to them, and part of what I liked is they weren't just, yeah, come on, anybody that, hang your license here. They did an actual interview process. You actually needed to qualify, and you needed to get approved to join their brokerage. They were just putting together a new agent, basically a boot camp. They call it SEALs training, kind of like Navy SEALs. But their whole idea is that they're going to give you all of the tools and all of the knowledge to be A+ agent, to be, top notch, to make sales, to launch your business. And so I was in that first training group, and life-changing is the only words that can describe that. It was such a great program. And I don't believe that I would be where I'm at and doing what I'm doing if it hadn't been for
the Monument training. Huh? Wow. Yep. Well, I wonder too, if, through the process of just being your own marketer and doing all those things with Just Add Jeans, you were basically laying the groundwork for how to market for Chaska as a real estate agent. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So that kind of overlays into this whole thing. You're basically self-promoting in the same,
Is real estate, and a ton of my business now has come from me staying active on social media and showing my peers and my Facebook friends that I'm out, showing houses, hustling stuff. I'm getting houses under contract, new listings, new, closings, all that good stuff. Yeah. Social media.
So you've been selling real estate now for how long?
Actually selling for right at about 1.5 years, because the first 6 months, 3 months were at Keller Williams, and then the first couple months at Monument was just intense training. But Monument is one of the largest lead buyers in DFW. So once we got trained enough, they started feeding us leads and we took off running.
Yeah. Goes to show the people that actually follow up, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So Monument's been there. What's special about Monument other than the training? Tell me about the people. What's attractive about this place?
The culture, and that's what Monument, probably the top priority at Monument is our culture. We call it the 3 Ps: positive, productive, and professional. They've also added a 4th P, which is Prescott, because we've now got Dak Prescott on our team.
Yeah, of course.
But it is, I mean, it's all about the culture. The people are just so welcoming and warming, and you've got a ton of support. The owners of the brokerage are there. You can literally talk to them if you have problems. And considering when I started and there was 75 agents there, we've now got over 700 agents, but we've still been able to keep that family feel, that same culture, positive, productive, professional, and training's top notch. And, if you work it and utilize their support, it's a great place to be.
Yeah. And so those folks that don't know, that may listen to this, Monument Realty, hey, it's I chose this over Keller Williams, and, they've got a couple of big logos on their brand. So you want to introduce that too? Kind of tell us about how that happened.
So Monument, Eddie and Tiffany are our brokers there. They are very, very, very forward-thinking people. As they've said many times, we are the future of real estate. We are capitalizing on, utilizing the way people shop for houses now. 9 out of 10 people, when they go to look for a house, unfortunately, they're not going to just call their friend Realtor. They go creep on Realtor.com or Zillow, and then they click that little button that says request a tour, because, maybe I'll go see it. And that's how then they get connected most of the time now with a Monument agent. We go, meet them. We've figured this part, they've gotten how to work leads down to a T. But in building their brand, Eddie has always said, we're these big brands like Ebby and Keller Williams and whatnot. They're like the Titanic. We're still small enough and nimble enough. We're like a speedboat. So if the market changes and things happen, we can divert and change our plan, change our strategy, do things differently very quickly and nimbly, which I think gives us a huge advantage over the big
guys. Yeah, for sure. That's interesting. So talk to me about, hey, look, I want to be looking for a house here soon, right? Rather than just clicking on Zillow, I can also contact you, and we'll put all your information in the links here so people can contact you. But, let's say I clicked the link and I ended up with you. Walk me through what happens. Hey, when do I hear from you? How do I hear from you? What does that total process look like? And kind of, I'm curious.
Typically when somebody, let's assume we're clicking it from a lead perspective, they click the link, they get connected with our inbound sales team, which we've got a whole team of people that are doing nothing but answering those leads. They set appointments, they connect them with a realtor. Typically they're same day appointments. So we're accommodating to their schedule. I always like to do what I call the triple play. So whatever house they're interested in, we'll go see that one. But then I'll have 2 or 3 other homes that are nearby that are similar, ready, already set up with appointments. Like, hey, why don't we go check out these other homes as well while we're out? Gives me a much better idea of what they are looking for and what they like and don't like. Because then we're not only seeing property 1, we've now seen a couple others, and they can, oh, well, I like the flow of this kitchen better, or this split bedroom design is better or worse. I want all the bedrooms together. Or I like 2-story or a single story. So really helps me be able to help them shop for a house. But then from there, we start talking pre-approval, and I'm on your team and we're going to go find your house.
So I guess at that point, when you initially meet them, that's where you're starting the relationship. Like, hey, I know you said you saw this house here online, but seeing a house online is one thing, right?
Right. which is why I like to set up a couple others, because the house that they saw online and those pictures might not actually be anything like they envisioned it in their head, which is why seeing a couple others, we can kind of talk through, okay, well, these pictures looked like this, and here's why these look different. Here's kind of, I'll give them some tips on how to see things differently.
Okay.
Since I
Gotcha.
see houses all the time.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. Let's just say I'm looking for a house right now and I see you selling houses left and right. Well, I'm having such a hard time buying a house. I hear this from a lot of people. Seems like you're selling houses left and right, but why do I hear this other side of the story saying I can't find a house, people are overbidding, it's just so hard? I'm sure you hear that too.
The market is very tough right now. But I firmly believe having the right team on your side is hands down the way that buyers are able to win contracts. I mean, I have my preferred set of lenders, which they work above and beyond for my clients. They help me out in getting offers accepted. Almost every time I submit an offer, if they're with one of my preferred lenders, that lender is going to call the listing agent and say, hey, Sally Joe's got, this, we just put in this offer. They're very well qualified. We've verified their assets, and they kind of talk through with the listing agent so that they can be even more sure and secure about my buyer's offer, knowing that they're more likely to make it to the closing table. Because when you've got 40 offers in front of you, because that's the reality of this market, is every house is anywhere from 15 to 40 plus offers, and especially if you're looking in that under 300,000 price point right now. But so you need to stand out. So we make cover letters. I have the lender call. I make sure I communicate with the listing agent, because there's tons of agents that just submit offers and don't ever call the listing agent. You need to find out what's important to the sellers. What do they need? See if you can get any information about the offers they have in hand. Communication is
so
key.
Chaska, I'm wondering, hey, I've just been not getting my offers taken, and I'm sort of wondering if it's my realtor and my loan officer. Does that come into that much of a play in these type of deals?
I 100% believe that it does.
So you feel like you have the team between you and your lending officers to really get these deals closed and push to the finish line?
Absolutely.
And who is it that you guys are working with for your lending officers? Give them a shout out.
Bank of England right there in Addison. Sean Feely and his crew are amazing. I literally have a group text with all of the loan officers that work there, and we can check in on files, and all I have to say, hey, we submitted an offer on 123 Main Street. Can you give the listing agent Sarah a call at this phone number? And one of them will be like, on it, and they'll do it within about 30 minutes, no matter what day, time. I mean, they work 24/7 like we do. So
Interesting. Well, that's good to know. I don't know that maybe everyone knew the real value of what the agent and the loan officers can bring in terms of the value of getting a deal closed for the potential buyer.
Absolutely tremendous. Because there's so many, yes, we all want the best deal and the best rate, but a lot of these, .com lenders, yes, they can offer maybe slightly lower rates, but your service that you're going to get and actually, getting to the finish line is not near as stable or secure, in my opinion, as utilizing a local lender that wants your business, that's going to go the extra mile, that's going to put in the work. Another one of my favorite ones is NTX Mortgage. They're over in the Flower Mound, Coppell area. Law, I'm not even going to attempt to say his last name because it's about this long, but he is a super cool guy, and he does really cool videos for the listing agents. So he will literally jump on a little screen share, and he does about a 60-second or so video showing the listing agent, here's what I've already verified with them. They've got great credit, this, that, and the other. So
nice.
yeah,
So
all about having the right team.
the life of a real estate agent, is it what you expected? And, what would you tell somebody that was thinking about getting a real estate license now?
Join Monument.
Uh,
I mean, I like I said before, the training and the tools that Monument has given me, I don't know that I would be where I'm at in my career without that. So I feel like they are really here to be able to launch your career, get you the experience, and help build that experience so that your sphere of influence will trust you and choose you to be their realtor.
That's good. That's good. That goes for anybody out there and they're doing their own business. It is important to have your sphere of influence, but also just important that people to trust you, know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So for those folks who are out there who aren't on Shop and Zillow, who are looking for an agent, they can find you, right?
Absolutely. I work all over DFW. I've done, deals anywhere. I go from kind of Lucas, Parker, Greenville area, all the way Louisville, Coppell, Flower Mound. I just recently was working with a customer out in Azle. When I first took that one, I didn't really know where Azle was at. So I did my homework on that and figured that out. It's actually a beautiful area over there.
It is.
But anywhere, Garland, we are actually going to start house hunting for ourselves here this summer. So we're hoping to get kind of somewhere more east, Garland, Terrell. Honestly, well, I'd love to be in Plano, but we've got multi-generational living happening. So we've got to find the right house that fits.
And you're looking for more of that east side. You're looking for some space. What exactly are you guys looking for?
Like I said, looking for the right house. My mother-in-law needs to be downstairs. So we've got to find something that fits there. We'd love to have a half an acre-ish. I don't know that I really want more than that because you have to keep the grass alive and mow it. Yard work is not one of my favorite things. Yard work's kind of like schoolwork. I'm like,
I hear you on the schoolwork stuff for sure.
Yeah.
But Chaska, listen, this was great. I appreciate the time on this. And I will make sure everyone knows how to contact you. Your information will be below, so they'll be able to reach out to you. And while we've got you, what is your phone number and your email address?
Phone number is 214-437-3321. And then email is Chaska, which is CHASKA @monumentstar.com.
Yeah. And if you're looking to buy a house, call Chaska.
I think you froze.
I froze at the very end, right?
I know. So, I was like, wait for it. Wait.
But yeah. So if like I said, if someone is looking for a house, they can definitely call you.
Absolutely. I love first-time home buyers are definitely my favorite, but I work with any people. I mean, investors, flippers, I love doing the buy and sell side. So yeah.
Why do you say first-time home buyers are your favorites? Is it just because it's the excitement that goes along with it?
Yeah, they're usually, they're really excited and they're eager. Typically, they're very eager to learn. This market is completely different than past markets. So sometimes it is a bit harder training or guiding the people who have bought before on how this new market works, because they want it to, oh no, I'm going to have the sellers pay for this. And so I want them to, I'm like, it's not really, we're not going to get a house like that. That's not how this works anymore. We have to pay for all the things, and we have to, especially when you get in multiple offers, we have to, used to, even when I just first started, you could put $150 on a 5 or 7 day option fee, which if you don't know what option in the contract is your unrestricted right to back out of the contract at any time. So it's a negotiated amount of money and time that the buyers put into the contract. So like I said, used to, you could get 5 to 7 days for $150, easy. Now it's about 3 to 5 days for like $1,000.
Oh, wow.
Totally different ball game.
Yeah. So Chaska and her team can help with all these things for sure.
I would love to help.
Yeah. So listen, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much. And like I said, if you guys are looking for a house, call Chaska.
Call me.
There you go.